and they're going to be thawed, when they get close to the destination. Um, that and there was even one theoretical physicist who put an article out that was saying that maybe one way to do it would be to send human embryos
Hmm.
into in a craft that was piloted by artificial intelligence, but and have the embryos actually developed and raised when it got closer to time for the mission, like basically when they got into the 20-year range, 20 to 25 years of their target galaxy, um, which would also go into the morality of, okay, this human or this AI or robot is, suddenly a parent of a human, and it's it's one of those that
And it's
gets
had all that time to
into
become self aware, too.
right
So
and
is it in its
and
best interest for these embryos to become humans?
right and that it was funny, reading that one that it kind of it makes you think a lot more deeply than you should probably think at 8:43 at night if you plan on sleeping, because it's
Yes.
your mind's going to be going. um but here's the thing is, the distance is always the big issue.
That's what
And
David says.
the but what we know from, if you look at relativity, if you look at anything like that, space time is um, if the way that uh, the only real conceivable way for it to be practically possible to travel even interplanetary to the distant planets, um, would be to create a ripple in space time, to basically
Yes.
create a wormhole. Um, you know, if you fold a sheet of paper, if the illustration that has been used so many times is you draw two dots on a piece of paper, and you lay that piece of paper out and say it's 4 inches between the dots. Then however long it takes to travel 4 inches is the amount of time that it's going to take. So even if you bend that piece of paper in half so that the dots match, in linear travel, like is what we all know, point A to point B, um, it's still 4 inches. But if we can create a wormhole where that piece of paper is folded, that instead of going that 4 inches goes directly, but between the folds,
Hmm.
then we can make that travel nearly instantaneous.
I had somebody
And
who was trying to explain propulsion systems show me that
mhm,
last summer.
mhm.
And like they took the paper and folded it and said the propulsion systems that we're working on now will see through this.
Mhm.
They will. That's what they're working on.
Well,
Is
we are closer to that than people realize. That
absolutely we are.
we
It's
have
being
just,
tested.
yeah. I mean, well, just recently they developed a propulsion engine that can propel rockets. It can move objects. It can do things with just light.
Yep. Think about that.
Hmm. So, it's fascinating. It really is. Um, but you know, we've been talking so much about the brain and how it works and how it affects hauntings, and we've talked about how it receives information. Um, but something to think about, and I say this all the time. Something that every residual haunting or every place memory, depending on which area of study you're into, has in common is there's not a residual memory of a ghost.
No.
Every every residual moment that's recorded, that energy that replays itself over and over, is all a recording of a person of a moment in a person's life. That person was still alive when it was recorded. No.
It's an energy signature.
Hmm. And the whole thing about the humans being able to amplify those incoming signals that has just been discovered, where another place that is so significant is that supports residual imprinting,
Mm-hmm.
because that means we can amplify that outgoing signal. That is, I'm telling you, that is going to be the mechanism that they discover years down the road that says, okay, this is how we're making these residual imprints. And they're going to find where that outgoing signal is being amplified in certain situations, when certain chemicals in the brain that are tied to certain emotions, fear, depression, or maybe repetitiveness. Um,
Well, like a century.
hmm That,
We have a question.
sure.
Um, Brenda in chat says, so ghosts are electrical beings. And I said, well, the body is. And she said,
hmm
but they use EMF and they drain batteries of electrical charges.
hmm
So, do you want to explain that?
Well, we we don't know that they actually use the electricity, or if the battery drain is more of a byproduct of the energy reaction. It's kind of like you can have lightning strike, and 10 feet away have something completely different go on. Um, it where the lightning may strike over here in the middle of a field, but the ripple effects from it, the heat that it puts out may and the environmental interference might cause power outages over here, and a mile down the road, even sometimes, if it's a strong enough strike. um, yeah, you have different things like that. So it's really hard to say. I mean, there's definitely some kind of energy interaction that's happening that causes the battery drain, but it's hard to say if it's. I personally don't think that they are electrical, or are actually using electricity to gain energy, because I think if that were the case, we would be able to measure them because of how sensitive our equipment is that we use, and how much electrical impulse would be needed to, would be got from that. But I do think that it's very possible that it's a side effect of the energy reaction that's happening, though.
Do you
Um,
not think that could be part of the energy reaction from the humans that are the living humans that are interacting with them?
it very
Because
well.
I cannot wear a good watch. Like
Hmm.
if it is anything besides a $12 Walmart watch, I mean
Hmm.
Seiko, Bulova, everything dies the minute I put it on.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I'd often thought that perhaps because my electrical system is a little, and it is electrical, it's a little electrical screwiness that goes on in my body. I know other people that have that same issue. Do you
Hmm.
not think that perhaps the problems that we're finding, like with the batteries, with, EMF, I know that you believe the EMF is after they've gone.
Hmm.
So there are different theories about whether EMF indicates the presence or lack thereof, like they were there and now they're not. But
Right.
um, do you not think that sometimes maybe the battery drainage could be relevant to the humans that are interacting with the spirits?
Oh, I think it absolutely could be. That which that kind of goes back to, it being a byproduct of that energy transaction that's taking place. Kind of like as a byproduct of electricity moving through a conductor, you have friction heat, and if you have an overload of electricity moving from a conductor, it creates fire because of the excessive amount of the friction of the electrons moving through. Um, the same as whatever this process is. And I say whatever because we don't know. I don't know. Science doesn't know, not yet anyway. Um, what specific form of energy it is that this communication or this energy transaction uses, but whatever it is could be creating as a side effect that zap that kills that equipment, because there are so many electrical issues that happen.
Yes.
And it's, not just at haunted places, but, when you have someone, I absolutely agree that it has to do with humans, with the living too, because, I've seen people that they'd get upset, and what happens? You know, electrical
Mm-hmm.
appliances, the electronics, things around them start going haywire. Batteries
Yes.
start dying, and it's tied directly to their mood. So it's
Well,
definitely a consciousness thing.
well, one more thing, because we've only
Hmm.
got 3 minutes before the break, and I wanted to finish addressing this.
Hmm.
And Brenda said, but if our thought processes run on neural pathways and this particular spirit is conversing in an intelligent fashion, wouldn't the spirit be doing the same thing? And my response was, they don't have physical neural pathways. They aren't physical beings. And
Hmm.
she responded with, but electricity can be present without a physical body. Lightning bolts are pure electricity.
Hmm.
So I think we're kind of at a stalemate there because they have to get their energy from somewhere, and that would support the thought of the battery drain.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Do they have to do that in order to be able to have a thought process? Who knows? We
Um,
don't know yet.
yeah, that it's hard to say. I mean, personally, I've always thought we're um, that we're going to discover some form of light energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be something related to light particles. You know, I, but that, and even though the, it, and that could be why we have such a hard time communicating, as if we're using electrical impulses and they're using a different form of energy, then it's having to convert to translate. And
Yes.
and so that mechanical conversion, could be that. Who knows? That could be the culprit in the first place.
Well, I, I just, Brenda says she loves this kind of stuff. I do too.
Oh
This
yeah.
is what keeps me up at night.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
it's
oh.
like, how do they get in touch with me? Why are they it's just
Hmm. Well,
whenever I see someone, I'm just kind of like, I don't see things.
well,
Well, I
and
didn't used to hear
very
things either.
uh, well, and very much in line with what you and Brenda were talking about. You know, they have recently discovered that um, a lot of mammals and they believe that humans have this ability too. Can their bodies can